Welcome to Q&A Friday on the Safe Business Agility podcast powered by Scaled Agile. I'm your host, Adam Mattis. As the name implies, every Friday I'll answer your burning questions, whether they come through the Safe community platform, into our customer success team, or find their way to my inbox. I'll do my best to help you get the information that you need. Hopefully, my answers will help you in your day-to-day role and beyond so you can work differently and build the future. If you like this content, please refer a friend or colleague to tune in. And as always, we appreciate those likes, comments, subscribes, and reviews on your preferred podcast platform. Now, let's get to those questions. Welcome to Friday. This week's question comes to us from the Scaled Agile customer success team. And the question is, we have a big debate internally on the definition of the MVP in the sense of safe. Since SAFE refers to Eric Ries, we would think that an MVP could be a discardable product that can be used by real customers to generate validated learning. In the definition on the framework site, you are using an actual product, and many people think it is the first version of the product. Is there any page or reference that you could give us that would help us clarify the notion as SAFE defines it? Thank you very much. So this is something that you hear a lot, right? And I say this, and there's sometimes some debate about, what I mean when I say it, but I want to be very clear. So first off, here's your reference. The second is that SAFE isn't very rigid about many of the things that people think that Scaled Agile is rigid about. The things that we're most rigid about are putting the mindset, values, and principles first, right? And then everything else is pretty much a conversation. We're immutable on the mindset, values, and principles, and then the rest of the things in the framework are tools that we introduce to help you achieve business agility, to help you delight your customers, to help you deliver value faster and with higher quality. And a lot of the tools are needed to do that, but how they're applied is a conversation to have with your supporting consultants, your partners, your internal change agents, and to really look at the intent of the tool and apply it to the context of your situation. And that's really the idea of the MVP. So the MVP is rooted in the Agile principle of maximizing the art of the amount of work not done. In other words, what's the least amount of work that we can possibly do to validate or invalidate our assumptions? And sure, ideally, wouldn't it be cool if we could do a little bit of work, get those ideas in front of a customer and get their feedback? And I think the reality is we need to first realize who our customers are, and second, realize, well, what is it that we're trying to validate, and can we get it in front of customers? In a lot of contexts, you can, but then in a lot of contexts, you probably can't. So if in your context, your customers are somebody internal, you're serving somebody else, well then sure, you want to get with those customers as quick as you can, right? Your feature starts with a hypothesis, your MVP rather starts with a hypothesis. You want to do a little bit of work and you want to get some feedback. Now, does that mean that you had to manufacture something and go through this long product development cadence? I mean, maybe, it just depends on what you're building, but the goal is to not do that. The goal is to do the least amount of work possible to start getting feedback. And with your internal customers, if you work in HR or someplace like that, you build that small sample. Maybe it's a new open enrollment platform and you want to get some feedback. Is it easy to use? So you do a little bit of work, you grab some of your colleagues and you say, hey, what do you think about this? We don't want to go down the path of building an entire solution without that feedback. So in the context of, again, that HR system, your HRIS system, your open enrollment system, it really is, we're building something and we're showing it to customers and we're getting feedback. Now, let's take another perspective. When Instagram had this concept of, they thought that the like features on Instagram were possibly causing people to be unhappy. So they thought our customers will stay engaged if we turn off the like feature. They'll still come back as often as they do. Let's run a test. Let's test this hypothesis. So for them, they built that functionality. They released it in a target market. I think it was Norway. And they tested it. They said, we're going to turn off the like functions, and we believe that we're going to get the same content posts and the same engagement that we always have. And so, for them, it was, we're going to test this MVP live in the market with customers and see what the results are. And it didn't go well because, as you all know, we still have the like features. Now, in a different context, it could look entirely different, right? If you're building, a large and integrated system, let's say that you're building, a cruise ship, and you have this idea that maybe you want to introduce new features to your onboard entertainment system, or let's pick Tesla, right? They want to go out there and test a new infotainment feature or a new self-driving capability with their car. So with that, maybe your customers and your test market's a little bit different, right? You wouldn't necessarily go out there and create a hardware-based solution, something that you do invest a lot of capital in, something that could have a lot of safety implications, and test it with actual customers. Instead, you might have a safety, like a safe test group, like a control group. You might just test it internally. You might test it robotically. Here's the point. SAFe introduces the tool of an MVP through the spirit of let's not blindly march down the path of assuming our ideas are good. We want to make assumptions about how we may solve a problem. We want to identify some leading indicators. What are some things that we could look for to determine whether or not our ideas are good? And let's do as little work as we possibly can to validate or invalidate that hypothesis. And based on those results, we either refine our hypothesis, charge forward, or we cancel it. That's the whole point, right? It's not that SAFe is directing exactly how thou shalt do an MVP. The idea is that we want you to start thinking in terms of an MVP. What is the least amount of work we could possibly do to make an informed decision about whether or not our ideas are good? And before we go and run the experiment, let's identify some assumptions and some leading indicators that will determine whether or not our idea was good. And the big thing that predicates all of this is the culture. If you still have a culture that says we cannot fail, failure's bad. If you have an idea and it fails, your career's over. This isn't going to work. And quite honestly, that's not the kind of business we want to be in anymore. We've got to create a culture that allows us to experiment, that allows us to test, that allows us to be wrong, that allows us to learn and iterate towards the best possible ideas to serve our customers, whoever they may be. So there you have it. SAFe isn't going to tell you exactly how to do an MVP in every context. SAFe is introducing the concept of an MVP. We reference Eric Ries, and we root this in Agile principle number 10, maximizing the art of the amount of work not done is essential to achieving agility. So there's the intent. I hope that's helpful. If you have other questions about this topic, we'd love to hear from you. MVPs are awesome. Give them a try. Culture comes first. Maximize the art of the amount of work not done. Give it a test. Have fun. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. The entire team at Scaled Agile is focused on helping you be better at work so that you can help your enterprise be more successful in the new age of business. If there's anything else that we can do to help, if there's any other assets you would like to see, content, podcast guests, let us know. Also, please check out the SAFe community platform where you'll find tools, toolkits, resources, videos, and so much more, as well as the SAFe Collaborate tool to help you be successful in the world of work. As always, if you appreciate this content, the greatest compliment that you can give us is a referral to a friend or colleague. And if you feel so inclined, we always do appreciate those likes, comments, subscribes, and reviews on your podcast platform of choice. My name is Adam Mattis. Until next time, as they say, stay safe.